This is the CNC Geekcast, the podcast where two guys with speech impediments talk about movies. I'm Joseph Collins.
And I'm Paul Combs.
On today's episode, we'll be talking about the Oscar-nominated movie for Best Picture, Hell or High Water. We're going to be talking about the characters, the plot, the cinematography, and much more. So stay tuned!
Well, this is probably one of my favorite films of 2016.
Why is that?
Probably just the simplicity of the plot. This past couple years, I've actually really been drawn to Westerns.
Okay.
I've been watching Once Upon a Time in the West, Shane after watching Logan. I've been watching even 3:10 to Yuma, which also starred Shane Black. And this movie was kind of a modern Western. It had the simple story to tell. It was literally a cops and robbers story.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree with that. I also enjoyed the simplicity of the cinematography, too.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the cinematography because the film opens with a very good shot. I really enjoyed it because it opens with a simple 360 shot where you get to see the town. And it makes it obvious the hopelessness of the town that keeps coming back over and over again. Because you can really feel why the brothers made the choice they made.
Yeah,
it's not an area where economic growth is going to occur.
No, I do agree. But I also liked how when the film opened, the camera was not moving.
Yeah, we've watched a lot of movies here recently, and so many of them feature the shaky cam. So it's great to see a movie go back to basics.
Yeah,
with the simple, because the whole opening 2 minutes is one take.
Yeah,
steady. It features a tracking shot, no cuts. And it establishes the setting before it even gets into the bank robbery, before it even gets into the characters.
Yeah.
Which was a very nice touch, a very smart decision.
No, it was. And but before we continue on with this film, let's give the audience a spoiler warning, actually.
Yeah, if you haven't seen this movie yet, you really need to get out and watch it. It's on Redbox. It's on all the digital services to rent. So just take the time to watch it. And then after that, make sure you come back and listen to this episode.
Absolutely. But now let's get into the plot. You really like you said, you really like the simplicity of it. But what did you think of the plot as general, and what is going on in this movie?
Well, I liked how well thought out the plan was. Because in this movie, it focuses on a brother who's reached a bad financial situation. He was left a house in the will, a house that he can't pay for. He has no job, no economic opportunity to speak of in the area. It's not like he can go to any place and just apply for a job because there's no places to apply. So he concocts this scheme with his brother to rob banks to pay the bank back.
Yeah, and his older brother was played by Ben Foster.
Yeah, Ben Foster.
Has a rap sheet. He actually at one point he was a trouble kid. Grew up with his mom didn't like him that much, and his foster father, of course, was abusive, and he had a rap sheet that he started robbing banks, and at one point he accidentally killed his foster father in a hunting accident, according to what the movie said. But really, we the audience knows what happened because there was a scene where the brothers talked about Ben Foster's character asked. This was right after we found out that the mother died, which was a very interesting choice. I thought that I found interesting because this movie starts out with them already robbing banks. We didn't go through the the mother's in trouble, then we have to make the decision. It's right off the bat.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that too. The movie doesn't hold your hand in regards to the plot. It has the opening scene where they're actually robbing this small town bank, one of these dead West Texas towns. It just throws us right into it. And it's obvious the first time too. They slip up a couple of times. They don't understand what time the bank manager gets there.
Yeah.
They don't. Yeah, they just slip up a few times. They're obviously not very good at this.
Yeah, there's another one where they go to another bank, and there was this old guy with a gun. And I love it how when the brothers asked him, "Do you have a gun?" And he said, "Of course I have a gun." And it's like, "Well, bring it out." And they just lay it on the counter. And after they left, he picks it up and starts chasing them out. So
it makes it obvious that they're not professional bank robbers.
Yes,
they have a very good plan, a very well thought out plan. But they're not professional criminals.
No, they're not. And I did like it how you have Ben Foster's character who's already been troubled. We already talked about that. But apparently he's doing it for the thrills.
Yeah, well, that makes it obvious. It's kind of obvious the characterization from even the opening scene as well. Mm-hmm. Because you have Chris Pine who's very hesitant. He's like, he's doing this out of necessity. Yeah, it's obvious that he's breaking the law. It's a crappy thing to do.
Yeah, well, his character is always the one, like, at the door. character is one who's always keeping pulling the guns out of everybody and keeping them down, while Ben Foster's character is the one that's actually getting the money, taking charge, and screaming the orders.
And even as soon as the bank manager comes in, they had got there early before the bank manager came in the opening scene. Ben Foster punches the dude in the face.
Yeah, the bank manager comes in, sees one of the employees
sees the teller
down on the ground. Is like, well, everything okay? And looks at him, looks at the robber, and says, "How are you today?" And boom, right in the face.
Yeah, there was no need for that. But it does a very good job showing kind of their... Ben Foster's very rash, very impulsive.
Yeah.
While Chris Pine is, let's get this over with. We have a plan. We don't want to hurt you. We're going to get in and out.
It's obvious that, and I do like how the movies, it does a very good job of showing us the brothers dynamic, because at heart this movie is a brother film.
It's a family. It's kind of just a story of family. How far you're willing to go for family. Because Chris Pine is literally robbing banks for his kids, and then Ben Foster's helping him because he's his brother for no other reason. That's even the line in the film. Chris Pine is talking to Ben Foster like, "You don't think we're going to get away with this, do you? No one ever gets away with anything. Then why are you helping me? Because you ask, little brother."
Yeah.
So that's the entire dynamic of the film right there. Then on the other side, you have kind of almost like brothers too, just kind of brothers by family. They're brothers by trade. They're partners. The lawmen. You have Jeff Bridges and Gil Birmingham.
Yeah, and that dynamic was special too, because you have a Jeff. Not Jeff Bridges, but the other one who
Gil Birmingham,
which was a he wasn't white. He was
Native American.
He was half Native American and half
Mexican,
and also he was Catholic too.
Yeah, and Jeff Bridges it's obviously have a friendship in addition to the partnership. And Jeff Bridges is kind of one of those guys. We all have friends like this. You joke around with them, you banter, you kind of insult them, but you don't mean anything by it. Jeff Bridges just takes it a little too far at points.
Yeah, he does, and he knows it too. That's the thing. I mean, there's one scene where Jeff Bridges, they were watching like a TV evangelist, and it's funny because Jeff Bridges is like, "We'll turn that thing off," and the other one's, "What? You're not Christian?" And the other one's like, I'm not Christian. And Jeff Bridges is like, "I'm just not stupid." And it's like, he didn't make a comment about his partner's Native American's heritage, like, aren't you supposed to dance around campfires and stuff? And he just says, "I'm Catholic," which is, this goes to, of course, it's the point. This goes to show that it's not as clear cut as people.
Exactly, and at that point, Jeff Bridges just keeps hammering on, and Gary Birmingham actually rolls over,
and just starts ignoring him.
He's tired of dealing with it for the day.
Yeah, and I like how Jeff Bridges was like, "Look, you understand why I'm doing this, and I don't mean no harm to it." And his partner was just like, "Look, just go to the other room and do your thing." And Jeff Bridges was like, he knew he went too far, and he just picked up his bill and he just left.
It's the relationships that really make the movie, though, because there's so many quiet scenes in this movie where they do feel like brothers. They really do, because later in the movie, there's a scene of them at dusk just drinking beer. Yeah, and they start playfully pushing each other, like we have with our siblings before.
Oh yeah, but I also like how Ben Foster was sitting on the couch, and Chris Pines raked him up, and he just started wrestling him. I mean, he just started attacking him because he thought that.
Well, he was in prison. That's kind of I think that was kind of a PTSD thing. The fact that he was, because it makes it obvious Ben Foster has seen some stuff. He's been in prison. He's accepted the fact that he's probably going to die doing this.
Yeah, and
he has no fear of death.
Because there's one scene where he was at a gas station. Chris Pine walked in to get something, and these two guys coming in a green muscle car, a sports car. Ben Foster's character just looked at them, just staring at them, because they were listening. I think they were listening to hip hop or rap or something. And the driver's like, "What's the matter? What's going on? What's wrong?" It's like, and all that Ben Foster says that in response to the guy's attitude was, "Dude, you think that there was 10 of me?"
But I also find it interesting how little Ben Foster cares if he dies. Because in that scene, Ben Foster literally could have died. But he's laying there. He's got his head back. He's relaxing, ready to drive some more. Just taking his break, and the dude pulls a gun, and he doesn't flinch. He doesn't care. Yeah. I think it's like he's accepted the fact that he will. Yeah. He would die doing this.
Yeah. But I also liked how when the guy was about to walk out, Chris Pine came in and just beat the snot out of him, and you could just see that Chris Pine was all this, anxiety, all this weight, everything was just, and he just wailed on the guy, and you could see how all the pressure is getting to him, because he got back in the car and he was just trying to control himself, and he's like, "You could have died," and he's like, "Yeah, I don't know, it wasn't going to happen," and they just drove off. But
I
it
also
was
find it interesting how little they dwell on that scene. Because immediately after that scene, I asked for a Dr. Pepper. You got me a Mr. Pip.
yeah.
It's like only buttholes drink Mr. Pip.
Yeah,
Because it illustrates how little they cared about what just happened. It was an act of senseless violence, and they were just like, whatever.
Yeah, and I love how Chris Pine walked around to the guy on the other side, and he was about to beat the snot out of him, and the guy's like, he had it coming, please don't beat me up too. So I still feel bad when people get beat up like that because I don't like seeing people in pain, even if they do deserve it. But it just goes to show what they're going through and how they're not. When it comes to the small things, they don't want to deal with it. It's like, I'm not going to deal with this crap right now.
After that scene, there's another good scene because they go to the casino, and it really shows how well thought out Chris Pine's plan was. Obviously, Chris Pine was the planner.
Yeah.
Not Ben Foster. That's obvious from the very first moment of the movie.
Yeah. No, because it was Chris Pine's character. His motives were the reason why they were doing it.
Yeah, and then Ben Foster couldn't plan it. He didn't have it in them. He was impulsive. He was rash. And Chris Pine actually thought enough about how bank robbery to figure out how to launder the money, turn the dirty money clean.
Well, was the bank money dirty in the first place?
Yes, because you can't just go to the IRS. You can't just go to the bank and pay them $25,000, $43,000 randomly. The IRS will wonder where the money came from.
Yeah, okay.
You can't go from on the verge of bankruptcy to having $43,000 in your pocket overnight.
So what was?
That's why they went to the casino because he thought of that gambling income.
Okay, so they won. They basically gambled that.
Yeah, they pretended like they won the money. That's what they were trying to do.
Okay. Explain to me exactly what, because I missed that in the movie.
As I was just saying, the IRS tracks the money. You can't just randomly deposit $43,000 in the money without having a way to trace it. I actually ran into this a few years ago when managing my mom's estate. I had to be careful about all of this. And in the movie, you can take the cash in there, and the casino didn't ask any questions. Yeah. They just gave them the chips. They was like, okay, you give us cash, but the casino really doesn't give a dang, I should say. This is a family episode.
Yeah, well, that would explain at the end of the movie why Chris Pine was at the casino with chips.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay. So
does it make more sense now?
It does make sense. So they gambled it, or was
They didn't gamble it. They made it look like they gambled it. They made it look like they won the money gambling.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I get it now. And so they just...
That's the reason he was just sitting there at the bar with his chips, not gambling, not anything. It was like, it kind of gave the impression that he won them. And then at the end, they was able to write that cashier's check, and the money is now...
Okay, cool. And then they went to the lawyer, and I like that. I like that scene with the lawyer, too, because the lawyer was like, you won this. I mean, you won it, right? You won this money. And then he's like, you guys are the most. This is the most Texas thing because you're robbing money from the banks that have your property.
Yeah, what happened in the movie was she had gotten a reverse mortgage, where you take out loan in the equity of your house in order to do something, and you have to pay it back, obviously. Well, the bank had given her barely enough to cover what they needed to cover, and they were just prepared to take the house because one can imagine they knew about the oil on the land too.
Yeah. So
they were kind of trying to exploit that to
get the land.
And
so what Chris Pine did was to rob from that Pacific. That was the plan. Rob from that Pacific bank, take $40,000 to pay back
pay back the reverse mortgage.
And then what Chris Pine did was he basically got the same bank to get a trust in it because we find out that the mother, in her will, handed all the property down to the parent or to the kids.
Yeah, exactly. So that was the goal because Chris Pine knew the bank wouldn't go after him, even if they had reason to believe it may be him. They're not going to lose that hundreds of thousands of dollars to recover that $40,000.
Chris Pine, it was a well-thought plan. Not only that, but it was in trust, and the banks can't touch property that's a trust.
Yeah, in the trust. Yep.
And I love the idea that idea of a trust even exists. But no, I really do like Chris Pine's character in this because even though he did something that was bad, robbing banks, he did it at least for his family, and you can understand why he did it.
No, I really like his character too because he's the methodical one. He's thought everything out. And truthfully, had it not been for Ben Foster, they probably could have gotten away with it.
Yeah, because in the movie, I don't know what was. I guess what Ben Foster was thinking of doing was because at the end of the movie, they were almost about to hit the mark they were hitting at.
Yep.
So they went to get a bank, but the bank they went to was closed.
And they had another small town bank they were willing to go to.
But because the bank was closed, they didn't make the money up, so they decided to go to a bigger bank.
Yep. And instead of taking their time to scope it out and go, they just ran right in, kind of guns blazing. Which was of course was Ben Foster's idea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and exactly
because it was within his character. He didn't do this. He did this to help his brother, obviously, but he also got the adrenaline rush from it. Yeah. It's obvious at many points in the film he's doing this because, frankly, he enjoys it. Yeah. He robs that random bank when they're at the diner. They're just sitting there eating, talking.
He sees a bank, and then he hears a story about how he needs Chris Pine needs child support. So, he robs the bank to get the child support money, but he also does it for the rush.
He didn't do it for the child support money, though. He did it for the...
for the rush, but that was the reason. That was a justification he gave himself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
And what happened in the end of the movie, and this is where, I guess, the tension built up, because Jeff Bridges' character and his partner figured out they were going to this specific bank. So, they were all going to the same thing. Well,
Jeff Bridges was really clever in this film. Like, I kind of like that. He had been doing this a long time, and he's incredibly patient.
Yeah.
He didn't rush in. He was like going to take their time and try to figure out their next move. Mm-hmm. And they do, and they succeed, and they're able to corner them.
Yeah. Do you know the one scene that kind of confused me? These type of scenes always confuse me because of the nuances of the dialogue. But they went, the Jeff Bridges' character and his partner went to a T-bone steak, and the waiter was like, "What will you not have?"
That scene really didn't serve a purpose in the movie. Mm-hmm. It really didn't. Because in the movie, they keep talking about the people of West Texas. Jeff Bridges says multiple times, "Dang, I love the people in West Texas." So I think that was just showcasing the fact that the rattlesnakes, they will bite you.
Yeah, I mean, the T-bone steak thing?
Yeah, the T-bone steak thing. Because the waitress was just a West Texas person, supposed to showcase how tenacious, how tough, how little craps these people give.
This is true.
I think that's the only reason that scene was in there. Because other than that, it really served no real purpose.
No, I didn't really understood that from the overall plot. But getting back to the movie, we could tell that Ben Foster's character was, he was getting to a point where there was no point of no return, because when they robbed this bank, what we realized, it being East Texas, everybody in this town has a gun.
Yep, everybody.
That's the thing, and I love how they take their civil duty really seriously in this, because there's one point where they were in the bank, everybody's on the ground, the security guard comes up with a gun, and as they're robbing the bank, another guy comes up with another gun, and he had a gun in his pocket. So suddenly, the security guard comes up to shoot Ben Foster's character, but Ben Foster then kills him, which is not part of the plan.
No, it was obvious from the entire movie that they were just trying to do this. They didn't want anybody killed. Mm-hmm. They didn't want really any complications, because they thought everything out. How do we launder the money?
Yeah.
How do we make it where the banks don't track the money? How do we not be seen on the video cameras?
How do we make sure the property is not touched? The banks cannot trust the property.
Exactly. They've thought everything out. And it's very important that they don't kill anyone. They just want to get the $43,000 they need and go away forever.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. They were both willing to accept the cost, and as long as the children are taken care of,
exactly,
or the ex-wife is taken care of, that's all that matters for Chris Pine. And I appreciate that his character. But they robbed the bank, and apparently Ben Foster killed not only one but two people, a civilian, and they were heading away. But at this point, they were going into town with two vehicles. They stopped They stopped at the side of the road, like 4 miles out of the town, with the vehicle at the side of the road, and they continued on with one vehicle. They met up with one another, but they got into a gunfight, and the Bronco they were driving in got shot up. And of course, there was a scene between Chris Pine and Ben Foster's character where they said their goodbyes. Well, Ben Foster decided.
Well, they didn't really say goodbyes. It was the way you do family sometimes.
Yeah, exactly.
Go F yourself.
Exactly. Well, exactly. But that's the way they said goodbyes. Yeah. But of course, we saw that Ben Foster was basically was willing to take the heat off. I mean, he was willing to go to die for his brother. Yeah. He literally died for his brother. Well, the reason why he did it was to get the police to chase him.
Yeah, no, definitely. But he knew he wasn't going to make it out of that. He got up on the hill with no way out.
I mean, he killed two people. Yeah. I mean, you can see that because early in the film, he even got to a point where he was he was having sex with he just met a woman and had sex with her in the hotel room. And he was like, okay, well, it's only, I'm not going to live, so might as well, just live the moment.
Exactly.
That was his mentality. So he got to a point where he basically got cornered, and he had a sniper rifle, and Jeff Bridges got there, and his partner got there, and you could really tell that I think this is one of the best scenes in the film for Jeff Bridges' character, because his partner had a sniper rifle. He was aiming, trying to find the brother of Ben Foster's character on the hill. Then suddenly, Jeff Bridges' partner just got shot in the head, and you could see that Jeff Bridges in his face. He was like, he was really upset at that.
Yeah, he was wanting to retire. This wasn't a big, incredibly big job. These were a couple of small-time bank robbers. It was just, okay, I do this. I finish this job. I get to retire. Gil Birmingham gets to go. My partner gets to go and keep doing this a while. He's good at it. So,
but at the same time, he was sitting there and he was mocking his partner, and he was making fun of his partner. And you kind of think to yourself, oh, well, he's not that good of a guy, and he doesn't have that much of a heart. But then you could see in his character that, oh, he actually cared about his partner.
No, you can. And then, obviously, Jeff Bridges didn't want to kill anyone, too. This was just supposed to be this little last job, small-time bank robbers, nothing too serious. No one was supposed to die. Then his partner got killed. Then those civilians at the bank got killed. So one of those situations where it spirals out of control. It
escalated into something that wasn't supposed to be.
Yeah.
So Jeff Bridges, of course, the posse comes by, and Jeff Bridges was like, back off. But then he got one of them to drive him around, because Ben Foster's character was on top of a hill sniping down. So he's running away, trying to distract them. And Jeff Bridges, flanked him, saw him in the sights, and basically shot him dead. And there was another scene that I love, in that an instant of a moment, he was happy that he got him, but then he realized and then his adrenaline came back down, and he realized that, okay, well, yeah, I killed the guy, but then he started crying because I just lost a partner, I lost somebody, and I just killed somebody. It just really goes to show you that, people were not meant to be in that situation.
The movie does a good job showcasing the weight. Everybody's doing these because they don't have a choice. Of course they didn't have to go robbing banks, but in order to get the oil, in order to do that, they had to take extraordinary measures. Jeff Bridges obviously didn't want to kill anyone, but because of what happened with his partner, he wasn't really given a choice. I have to kill this dude.
Take him down.
He killed my partner. He's
shooting at people.
Yeah, he may kill others. Everybody's doing this because of the weight. Everybody's doing this not out of choice, but out of necessity.
Yeah.
And the movie does a really good job showcasing that. Hell or high water. Sometimes you just kind of have to wade through the high water, move on. But
now we get to the climax of the film, and I really do like how, at this point in the film, you don't really know much about in-depth the characters. You don't know their backgrounds. You don't know why, what exactly their personal story is until the end of the movie. Jeff Bridges has retired. Chris Pine found out his brother's dead, but now he's oiling the property that he now has, or his children now have. And now Jeff Bridges comes into the office, the police office he was used to work at, but he's retired now, and he asks for to take the case files for these people, and we find out that Chris Pine's character didn't have any rap sheets. There was nothing wrong with what he did. I mean, it's like no one's going to touch this guy because what evidence do we have on him? He's now making $50,000 off of this property, a month. It's like, the bank's not going to touch it because why would they? They're making more profits than they ever did with the reverse mortgage. So I really like how all this information was at the end of the movie.
Yeah, I like that too. And I also like that when Jeff Bridges approaches Chris Pine.
He knew. They both knew.
But even then, Chris Pine could have denied it. But Jeff Bridges started talking to him, and he just talks about it like, this is why I did it. He didn't deny it. Because in reality, they talk about this. Jeff Bridges had no reason to suspect him other than intuition. Yeah. So when he comes up and talks to him, Chris Pine basically admits to it.
Yeah, well, Jeff Bridges says, I'm the one who killed your brother.
Yeah.
And then, and I love that because Chris Pine was like, you're not a lawman anymore, you're retired, so technically you're trespassing and I could shoot you. And Jeff Bridges was like, you would be in your right to.
Well, I kind of like that because they were both kind of ready to die.
Yeah.
But Chris Pine had accomplished what he set out to accomplish, help his family.
But he knew what he did was wrong.
He knew everything he was doing was wrong. He was always prepared to die. He was always prepared to...
Or at least go to jail.
Go to jail for the rest of his life. Because he talks to his son, you're going to find out some things about me. And his son's like, I won't believe him. I won't listen to him. His dad's like, you believe every single word you hear about me.
No, I did it, and it's not right. And don't be like me.
Don't be like me. Chris Pine knows what he's doing is wrong. He's prepared to go to jail or die doing it to set his son up. And then Jeff Bridges, on the other hand, lost his partner. Lost probably his best friend.
Yeah.
He's lost his wife already. He's retired.
He has no reason to live either.
He's not really excited about the prospect of retiring.
No.
A movie mentioned that. I would love to kind of go out in a blazing glory. He's talked about that. Mm-hmm. So both of them are kind of just in this stage where you kill me, you kill me.
Yeah. And I do love that end scene. I love those end scenes where both characters know what one another is and who they are, but they leave on mutual terms as rivals.
Yeah.
I like that. I mean, I don't know what it is, but it's like in The Dark Knight, where you have Batman and the Joker. They know what's going on. They truly know what's going on. Everybody else is oblivious to it. Mm-hmm. But I love those situations where the hero and the villain knows what's going on. They're both fighting for the soul of Gotham. They both get it, and yet they are protagonists to one another.
Yeah.
And I just love that dynamic.
No, I do too. I really enjoy this movie. If I had one complaint with this movie, it's going to be how on the nose it was at certain points.
Yeah.
Because from the opening scene, there's an opening scene and there's graffiti on the wall saying...
the government bailed the banks out, but who bailed me out?
Exactly.
Mm.
Yeah.
And then another scene where Jeff Bridges was waiting at the bridge with his partner, and they were talking about how his partner said, look, the white man came and all this was once our land. The white man came and took it all away from us. They forced us into, to adopt, to be more like them. And now the white man is stealing. Now these guys are stealing from the white man.
Yeah.
So yeah, I felt the same way. It's like I'm like, there it is. That's it. That's the message they want to send. I knew it was going to be in those somewhere.
But it was so obvious from the opening frame of the movie, the message they wanted to send. Did we really need that speech? Yeah, it was a good speech. Yeah, it was well acted by Gil Birmingham. But it had already been showcased. You had already showcased the damage the banks had done to that community, or to the area, I should say. Because you see all these long takes, you see all these things, and it shows the desolation of the area. Like, hey, this area, all these dead towns, they're not coming back to life. So the point had already been made. That's my complaint with the speech. That you're just hammering us over the head at this point.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm not a big fan of that.
It's like we had already... we had got the point. We could put two and two together. Don't treat us like we're idiots. The movie did a really good job not treating us like we're idiots in regards to the plan. Mm-hmm. We never saw the plan. We got to work it out on our own. Mm-hmm. You have that speech. It's like, why?
Yeah.
Why, movie?
I agree with that. I mean, I think sometimes the Hollywood writers just can't help themselves.
I don't think they
can.
The
directors just can't help themselves. It's like, we want to drive this point home. Don't!
Yeah, it's don't. From the opening frame of the movie, we had understood the point. Yeah. I mean, that's a minor nitpick. Mm-hmm. All in all, I really enjoyed the film. It has amazing performances.
No, I think that Ben Foster is a very underrated actor.
I agree with on that. That's kind of another complaint. It's not my complaint with the movie. Mm-hmm. It's my complaint with the awards this movie received. It received Best Picture nomination, which I definitely think it deserved. And Jeff Bridges received a Best Supporting Actor. I mean, it was well deserved, but I really think Ben Foster should have been the one to get it. Yeah, well, Jeff Bridges has Best Actor. Ben Foster has never been nominated. At least throw Ben Foster a bone.
Yeah, I mean, he was also in the remake of 3:10 to Yuma as the henchman to Russell Crowe's character. He even did a good job in that film too.
He was the best part of that film.
Yeah, I mean, he does a very good job of he did a very good job of that the unease off unhinged character. But yeah, he's a really underrated actor, and I think that Chris Pine, of course, is always good as well. You know, I think the dynamic was good. I mean, I thought it was a good movie altogether.
No, I did too, and because it's the relationships that really make the movie, and the fact that they can really feel like brothers, or Jeff Bridges and Gil Birmingham really feel like partners and close friends, is really what makes the movie. Yeah, we've talked about that because the theme was family. What you do when you have no choice.
Yeah. So I agree with that. I agree. But man, this movie, it was a good 142.
It was only 142, and we've talked about it 30 minutes.
Yeah, it's been good. But unfortunately, we have to go. But before we do, is there any shout-outs you want to give?
Not this episode, but I'm excited about our next episode.
Oh, that's right. What are we talking about next episode?
One of my favorite movies ever. It's up there with Mad Max Fury Road on my upper echelon of movies. I'm talking about Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Ah, yes, that one. That is definitely unique. Movie.
It's definitely unique, and it is very Edgar Wright. We've talked about this before. Edgar Wright is undoubtedly one of our favorite directors, and I can't wait to talk about this other film.
I do think Edgar Wright's one of the best right now. One of the best directors. I mean, probably in the top. I would say the top. I won't say the top 20, but probably the top 50.
Yeah.
Directors out there. Like that's like you had the good directors of the 1960s, like Spielberg, and you have who did The Godfather?
Francis Ford Coppola.
Yeah, and then you had others of that genre, that era, and now I feel like Edgar Wright can be one of those top directors of the new group, whoever that group may be. I don't know who that group is.
Yeah.
But I do like Edgar Wright. I think should be named as a good film because his other films are good. Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, and Baby Driver. We talked about it with Baby Driver, and I'm really excited to talk about him again next week.
Yeah, exactly. But until next time,
I'm Joseph Collins.
And I'm Paul Combs.
And you've been listening to the CNC Geekcast.